says he is also rumored to have been caught having intercourse with a female co-worker on school property. Oh man. I am writing to inform you of the closure of your immigration case. It has been my pleasure to represent you throughout the process, and I am pleased to report that your case has reached a successful resolution. But a source told Laura that the protective order stemmed from an incident where Joseph Hill confronted Roberts about indicting Hill's wife, an illegal alien, now arrested. And this one is a little bit different than some of the others we hear about. This guy was a superintendent of the Iowa schools, and that's a big deal because his entire record essentially was fraudulent. But the New York Post has dug up some other materials, and our friend Lauren Powell also was digging through this. Laura Powell, she explained here that this guy has also been charged, or at least has been petitioned against, for some other pretty problematic materials. And the background comes more from his criminal complaint, his arrest warrant, and his information, which explains that this illegal had guns when he was arrested and charged accordingly. Here's the background on this dude, and there's more. They say he also had a sordid past: sex, lies, and DEIs. The school district superintendent was arrested by ICE. He lied about attending MIT. And he was the subject of 2 sex discrimination lawsuits. Now, they call him a snappy dresser, which is true. I mean, why not? If you're here, you're taking everything for free, lying about everything. You got a nice wardrobe budget. Roberts spent over 20 years bouncing around the nation's education system, holding top posts from coast to coast. But he also proved controversial. And he was fired by Des Moines after it emerged that he was working illegally and that he was trying to avoid a deportation order. He ruined our district for 3 years, said a former colleague. He was very smooth, very affable, but the overarching feeling you got from him was he was smoke and mirrors. It was just mystique. Yeah. Saying Des Moines now has fired him. There's another outfit. Nice looking outfit there. Okay. Says he is also rumored to have been caught having intercourse with a female co-worker on school property. Oh man. As a superintendent in rural Pennsylvania. That was a post that he held for 3 years there. Like, this is, we teach children here. You freakoids, get out. Former colleagues claimed that to the Post that Roberts was a sketchy figure and a pathological liar. You're kidding. They said they felt he was hired because of his diversity, his equity, and his inclusivity. And a bunch of, white liberals in these hiring positions in HR, they're like, nobody wants to question him. Like, you went to MIT? You sure? Of course I did. I know. Look here, watch. Ask me any multiplication fact you want. She's like, well, I don't know my multiplication tables. So, all right, I'll just believe you. Nobody wants to challenge the dude, so he just keeps getting promoted. He claimed that he did little work, which sounds, I don't know, somebody's gonna say that's bigoted. He was a player, said someone. He liked the women, said some other source who knew Roberts, who asked not to be named. Another source expressed concern to the school board in Pennsylvania that he might not be a legal resident. They said, don't be a xenophobe. But their concern was ignored, of course, because why? Why would they care about a complaint like that? Reports indicates that he has not been legally allowed to work since at least 2020. His employment authorization expired, and he just stuck around. He was originally from Guyana. Roberts had been ordered deported during the Biden administration. He was arrested by ICE after attempting to flee, and he was found hiding in the brush. The school-owned vehicle that he was driving, not his, was also, it contained a fixed-blade hunting knife and a loaded Glock 19 firearm and $3,000 in cash. The dude was going to make a run for it. Since then, it has emerged that he faked many of his credentials. According to Des Moines, their website, this slick supervisor earned an MBA at MIT's Sloan School of Management. However, a spokesperson for the elite school told the Post, we don't have any record of this dude. What are you talking about? He also claimed that he went to Harvard and Georgetown. I was waiting for Harvard, since they're all liars. Not all of them, but a lot of them are liars there anyways. And those schools did not respond to requests for verification. Of course, right? They're like, well, we can neither confirm nor deny, because they don't want to be a problem for this illegal alien. Oh, here's another talk. Here's a book that he wrote, Radical Empathy in Leadership, which I'm sure he's wishing was applied to him. Just have a lot of empathy for me. Don't fire me for lying to you and being a fraudster. Equity-focused testimonials, trials, and tools for school leaders. Just break and enter into a foreign country and lie about all your credentials. Dr. Ian Roberts. Wow, amazing. So that's incredible. So he's going to give some lectures on how to be a good person and have radical empathy, as he's apparently abusing women and sexually harassing them and having intercourse on school campuses. For years, Robert also falsely claimed he had a doctorate from Baltimore Morgan State University. A school official said that he did not obtain a degree from that school either. Wow. He was the superintendent of Mill Creek Township in Erie, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania for 3 years. During that time, the school was inundated by lawsuits, and they were forced to pay out $400,000 for sex discrimination settlements, claiming Roberts promoted less qualified women over more deserving men. You're kidding. Town gossip claimed that Roberts hightailed it out of Mill Creek after he was caught indicting another female coworker on school property. Although this could not be verified by the Post, it sounds accurate. There were rumors flying around about, they said, well, let's just say his extracurricular activities. That money, like that's money that is being ripped away from the children in Erie, Pennsylvania, so that this dude can go get his indictments off. There were rumors flying around about this. Oh, is this some lady? Oh gosh. She get a promotion? She probably did. Melody Ellington and Roberts worked together in St. Louis before she joined him in Mill Creek. She worked there a year before she got a settlement. Wow. So he was harassing her. Completely inappropriate. And she got 250 G's out of that, which is just great because that could have gone to, of course, the students. But a lawyer for Roberts didn't return a request. At the time of the abrupt resignation, Mill Creek Schools was also in the process of a $250,000 settlement with Melody. She was threatening to sue for constructive discharge after her own resignation after 1 year on the job. I had to leave. Like, you guys were basically forcing me to leave because it was hostile or intolerable, according to this dude. Now, one source told the Post that she was his girlfriend, but that could not be confirmed. Ellington moved out of state after her resignation and did not return calls for comment. Of course, yeah, well, she'd have to leave the state because she just, basically got $250,000 from somebody. And I can imagine there's a lot, for whatever reasons, probably doesn't want to talk about it. According to her LinkedIn profile, she also worked at St. Louis Public Schools as the director, the same time that he was the director. Former colleague said that Roberts brought her in with him when he accepted the job. And then so she's, receiving the benefit until it's obviously not any good anymore. And then she sues and gets a settlement. It's like, okay, great. So former colleagues and other community members said some members of the school board were very attracted to notions of DEI and equity because they're all in on the scam, right? Yeah, of course. If you're going to be able to lie about your credentials and be put on stupid photos like this in Des Moines public schools, like obviously you'd be for it. Yeah, bring your friends up with you. It's crazy. America's ridiculous. No one checks if you're black. No one cares. Yeah, just come on in, man, whatever. You went to MIT and Harvard and Georgetown? Incredible. Wow. And like some white HR lady's like, wow, you're much smarter than me, obviously. Should I check? No, because I don't want to be called a bad word. All right. So among those red flags was a firearms violation. Now he's being detained. Once he started the job, coworkers and everybody knew that something was off. It seemed like he was more about the persona of being the superintendent, not necessarily actually doing the job. But those in the community who were pleased with this hire, from a DEI perspective, were reluctant to address it, or they didn't see it because they're so brainwashed. All right, so here's another one. Yeah, great job. There he is. High-fiving some girl. He's like, no, yeah, I'm a doctor. She's like, wow, you're a doctor. Nope, he's not. He's a liar. Others noticed Roberts seemed more preoccupied with the side hustle. Yeah, he was giving speeches about racial equity and tending to BLM projects than doing the work of the superintendent. Former colleagues also said he was a pathological deceiver, telling lies about ordinary and controversial things. You all had, that person in your life. Everything you say, they're like, well, I did that when I was, skydiving that one time. No, I got struck by lightning 4 times. You're like, all right, just relax, man. I'm telling you a story. Chill out. So it's this dude. Former colleagues also said he was a pathological deceiver, lying all the time, and lied about how many kids he had. Even so, while he publicly claimed to have a wife, his former coworker told the Post that they had never met or seen her, and probably doesn't exist. Another person who knew Roberts says that Roberts didn't hide the fact that he was actively on the wife hunt for immigration reasons. In his role in Des Moines, he raked in $287,000 a year. He officially resigned while he was detained, and there he is, and he still has his like a boutonniere on. Man, this guy knows how to dress even in his mugshot, huh? So they also found some guns. We're gonna look at the documents. And who's this? He became an Olympian. In between earning all his degrees, he became an Olympian competing in the Olympics for his home nation of Guyana. That's him? We should have just kept doing that, man. That's amazing. Look how friggin' ripped he is. All right, anyways. So why do you have to break into our country if he's an Olympian? The districts insist it didn't break any laws. They said, no, we verified him, whatever. Mill Creek hired him following a vetting process and a search process. The recruitment company didn't want to respond to a request for comment. Now, more shockingly, it was revealed this week that he is an active Democrat voter in Maryland. This whole thing, we're just getting ripped off everywhere we turn, prompting congressional Republicans to demand answers from Maryland. Why is this non-citizen voting? Before moving to a small town, he also held a cushy job, high-power job, as chief schools officer in California. Now, the Post has also learned that he worked as a substitute teacher, actually taught the kids, probably about MIT robotics or something. Records indicate he came from the U.S. from his native Guyana to study in Baltimore back in 1998, did earn a master's from St. John's. He's also an Olympian. It's incredible. Go home and do that. In 2022, he told his alma mater, "One day I hope to return to my birthplace of Guyana as a public servant." Well, that opportunity has now arrived. That dream will likely be happening sooner than he had planned. Sometimes I think I'm so clever and it's like the next sentence. I'm like, idiots. Criminal complaint brought by the Bondi DOJ is illegal alien in possession of a firearm. That's it. September 26, in the county of Polk, Southern District, Robert Carlson, shout out, special agent over at the ATF, submitted this into the judge, and the criminal complaint is moving forward. He got an arrest warrant, said an illegal alien in possession of a firearm. Illegal alien in possession of a firearm. Second Amendment doesn't apply to them, okay? They don't have a right to keep and bear arms illegally in our country. So they are now charged, and of course, the arrest warrant was executed. They picked this dude up. We saw the mugshot, and here is the affidavit. I, Robert Carlson, who is now asking for this arrest warrant to go pick this dude up, says, I'm employed by the ATF, shout out, been there since 2003. I'm a graduate of a 10-week criminal investigators training program, and I've got a lot of experience on this. I do a lot of work on, narco trafficking, firearm stuff, informants, all the things. Now, the facts in this are my personal observations. This is not everything, does not set forth all my knowledge about this matter. And of course, these are the two basic standard introductory paragraphs that we get. A little bit of background, a little bit of disclaimer. It's not everything. There's more coming. But here's what I got. He says, pursuant to U.S. Code, I know that it is unlawful for an illegal alien to possess a firearm or ammunition. An alien is a person who's not a citizen or a national. And more specifically, this section G5, it applies to aliens who are either here illegally or unlawfully, or having been admitted under a non-immigration visa, and to whom this does not apply. It exempts these other codes, like for foreign governments, officials of foreign governments. So he's like, they live right here in this section of the code. This also designates various classes of non-immigration aliens who are prohibited possessors. Now, Robert's immigration case file, Ian Roberts, the dude we just saw, it states that Roberts is a citizen of Guyana. Roberts entered the United States in March 1991. He was on a student visa back then, and that expired in March 2004. In May 2001, May 2018, June 2018, and July 2018, Roberts filed an application. He wants to become a permanent resident. Well, he went through the process. He got due process. See, he filled out a form. He says, this is my condition. The U.S. Immigration Services rejected these applications. Oh, they gave him plenty of due process, reviewed the paperwork, denied it. Then he applied in January 2020. He was denied an adjustment of status based on his so-called marriage to a U.S. citizen, right? Then they come in, just like Kilmar did, goes and marries somebody, boom, you get fast track. Now, that was also denied, okay? Why? Because he didn't provide any additional information. So what is the court supposed to do for all these lefties? He's not even attempting to give them enough information to support his claim. So it was denied again. Multiple attempts, multiple denials. Like, well, but he needs more. No. He got plenty. From December 18th, then he had lawful employment authorization from December 18th, 2018 to 1 year for the 19th. And then again, he got authorization from 2019 all the way to 2020. Now, since December 18th, 2020, he has not had lawful employment authorization, but he was still superintendent of the schools. Now, according to immigration records, Roberts was ordered removed from the United States in absentia, which means he didn't even show up on May 22nd, 2024. And on April 30th, an immigration judge denied his motion to reopen the proceedings, finding that Roberts had failed to demonstrate that he did not get notice of the hearing. This is what they're referencing. They're saying, well, this is due process. He got plenty of due process, okay? They say, here's the order. This is about removal proceedings from Ian Andre Roberts, initiated by Homeland Security. Now, they said, okay, well, we had a hearing that was scheduled for you, okay? We literally were going to have a removal hearing, just like a trial. And we gave you notification of the time, date, and location of the hearing. We told you when it was going to be, and you couldn't even show up. He was also provided a written warning of the consequences. If you don't come to the hearing, we're going to do the hearing in your absence. All of it was provided, and we can have a hearing, right? And they're just telling him, this is the warning that we send you. You may be removed. The hearing is going to be held in your absence, and depending on the outcome, that's the outcome. That's your due process. You don't get 55 trials. Well, sorry, I couldn't make it for whatever stupid reason. You try to do that with your court dates. Now, despite the written notification provided, guess what? Ian, the MIT scholar, failed to appear at the hearing, and no exceptional circumstances were shown for why he failed to appear. And so, therefore, we did the hearing without him in absentia. Didn't show up. Now, at the hearing, the immigration court determined that, yeah, the government did their job. The government submitted their evidence, and they submitted evidence relating to him. It established the truth truth of factual allegations contained in the notice to appear, and the immigration court finds he's removable. Okay, Homeland says he's not allowed to be here. Court says, yeah, that's right. That's the box they check. The immigration court further finds that his failure to appear and proceed with any applications is an abandonment. Okay, so not only did he fail to show up, but there's nothing else pending. Effectively, he's abandoned everything that is happening right now, and they're abandoned. He's not, engaging with us. And so, therefore, the order says that he shall be removed to Guyana or in the alternative locations contained on the notice to appear. If the respondent is subject to a final order of removal and fails to deport or conspires to take action, he's going to have to face a civil fine. And then if he's removable to other reasons, we can even imprison him. Signed by the immigration judge. Look at that. A judge looked at his case, issued a very thoughtful ruling on it, and ordered him removed. But he didn't want to go, so he just kept staying here. Now, Roberts was also represented by an attorney. And so thus on September 26, he had a valid and final order of removal, which is, so it's like his lawyers didn't respond for him. And there's weird stuff going on with his lawyers. There's also these documents. So this attorney sent this one in from Abogada Inmigracion, Jacqueline Gonzalez, right? Don't know anything about her, but she sent this over to him on March 27th saying, hey, Ian Roberts, I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing to inform you of the closure of your immigration case. It has been my pleasure to represent you throughout the process, and I am pleased to report that your case has reached a successful resolution. What? Like, that's weird. What does that mean exactly? Should you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Signed, your immigration lawyer, attorneyjg.com. Respectfully, what's her name? Jacqueline. Okay, well, that's interesting. That was on 3/27. Then we get another letter. This one's on November 25th. So before she sends that letter, she says, our firm is writing to address the matter of an outstanding balance. You owe us $11,790. So to facilitate this, please pay that money within 14 days. And if you have any questions about this, please contact me. Jacqueline, she's like, hey man, you owe me some cash. So is this second letter? Like, what is the second letter? Like, you're done. No, everything's fine. You're going to be great. I don't know if she got paid or not, but some interesting things. Anyways, so I don't know why they would hold a hearing in absentia if her lawyer was there. So maybe this is a different hearing, but you get the point, right? So some weird stuff going on with the lawyer, not paying the bills, needs a collection, whatever. On September 30th then, the U.S. Attorney's Office received a letter. The letter, dated March 27th, was addressed to Roberts by the Texas attorney, the letter that we just said, for at least his motion to reopen the proceedings. Okay, so she wasn't there for the hearing, so he hired her after, and then she was like, let me reopen the hearing. Now, the letter was also provided to media entities at the press conference, and that doesn't sound right at all. According to immigration court records, the Texas attorney filed a motion to withdraw in January 2025 after filing the motion to reopen. So that makes sense. Oh, this is weird. She got off the case. Okay, she fired him as a client because she had an unpaid legal bill. So why did she send him a letter in March? She filed a motion to withdraw to get off the case in January and then says, you're good, have a nice life. And now this dude's getting deported and her name is in the news. Oh man. So to the Little Elm, Texas address, and the same address as paperwork located in his Des Moines residence. So she sent it back to him. The attorney's motion to withdraw was denied as moot because we denied your motion to reopen. Like, the case is not being reopened, so there's nothing to withdraw from. It's closed. So how on earth, following the April 30th decision denying his motion, she sent him this letter on 3/27. So 3/27 is before March, April, May. So she sends the letter after she has filed a motion to withdraw, like to fire him and get off the case because she's not paid. Then April 30th, before the decision that denies the reopening, she sends him a letter in March. Everything's fine. Not good for her. The March 27th letter to Roberts predates the disposition of the motion to reopen. So there was no resolution when the letter was sent. Even if the motion to reopen was successful, that wouldn't have granted Roberts any lawful immigration status. Roberts was not issued and did not receive any documents granting him relief or protection from removal. Roberts was not issued and did not receive any documents granting him relief or protection from removal. He did not apply for or get employment authorization, which he had done in the past. And furthermore, the decision denying his motion to reopen was thereafter issued and mailed to his lawyer. So she got it after she sends the letter. You're great. Gets the denial. She's like, well, he didn't pay pay his bail amount. In the evening of September 30th, this ATF special agent contacted her. Incredible. Jacqueline. Hey, Jacqueline, I'm with the federal government looking at this letter that you sent over to this illegal alien in our country illegally. As to the March letter, she said, well, the letter was to inform him that the case with our office was being closed, saying, well, the letter was not intended to convey to him that his immigration case was completed, but rather it was being closed within our office. She declined to provide information about her communications with Roberts, attorney-client privilege, about the denial of the motion to reopen. So, okay. So did you tell him after that, after April 30th, that he was not lawfully in our country or what? Like, because the motion was denied? Did you correct the message that you sent before? I can't talk about that. That's attorney-client privilege. Got it. Got it. So why did she send this letter? And if you're going to send a letter that you're getting off the case, you would put that in there, right? You'd put something, our office is no longer continuing work on your matter. There is an outstanding billing concern. If you have any questions about that, please contact the billing department at this number and pay your bill. She's just like washing her hands of it. Maybe she grabbed the wrong template or something, but yeah, then she kind of backtracks. He goes, well, why'd you send that if it's not accurate? Why would you send that before you even got a decision? You're like me sending a client like, hey, congratulations, you've been found not guilty. Then the trial happens and you're found guilty. You're going to be very upset with that attorney. So it feels like something else is going on there. Then in the morning of September 26, officers of immigration and ICE, they performed surveillance at his residence in Des Moines. At that time, ICE officers were aware that Roberts was illegally and unlawfully present in the country thanks to the immigration courts that gave him plenty of due process. ICE officers saw a white Jeep Cherokee with Iowa official tags, his paid-for vehicle by Iowans, leave his residence driven by a male who was consistent in appearance with Roberts, based on photographs that we have of him in the case file. ICE officers followed the Jeep Cherokee, which drove at a high rate of speed northbound, speeding all over the place too. The Jeep Cherokee turned into the mobile home park. ICE officers located the Jeep Cherokee stop inside the trailer park. ICE officers dressed in tactical vests with high visibility ICE markings approached the Jeep Cherokee on foot, and he sped away. He drove away. After a brief search, the Jeep Cherokee was found abandoned in the grass near Swan Lake Circle. Dude ditches the car. Law enforcement officers with the state patrol, along with certified patrol canine, they were called, the dogs came out. After a search of the area, Roberts was located in the brush, hiding in the bushes 200 yards south of where the Jeep Cherokee was abandoned. ICE officers observed Roberts' appearance as consistent with known photographs of him, and his identity was confirmed with fingerprint analysis. And so then ICE, they remained with the Jeep Cherokee until a supervisor public safety specialist came in, and somebody from Des Moines Public Schools came in to come get the Jeep of their illegal superintendent. So then the supervisory public safety specialist located a firearm wrapped in a towel under the driver's seat as pictured below. Look at that right there. Illegal in possession of a firearm. Here's more. The firearm was later fully identified as a Glock Model 19 9mm pistol. The firearm was chambered and loaded with 9mm Luger ammunition and affixed with a red dot optic and a pistol light. Pretty cool. That's a nice piece. The firearm was seized by ICE and later transferred to ATF custody. It's good, man. The dude's making like $300,000 a year. Probably several others. Firearms that are recovered by law enforcement during their official duties are routinely traced through the ATF. The tracing data provides investigators with information about where and when it came from. An emergency trace was submitted, and this gun, it was purchased by Lanisha Roberts on October 4th at a federal firearms licensee in Arkansas. And Lanisha is believed to be Roberts' spouse, according to law enforcement databases. Roberts' passport from Guyana was also located within a wallet found next to the firearm. And according to the passport, it was renewed in April 24. It expires April 29th. And so we got a search warrant. On September 26, law enforcement also executed a search warrant at his residence in Des Moines. In 3 more, inside the residence, law enforcement located 3 following firearms. Wow. A loaded and chambered Sig Sauer Model P320. Some people have some concerns with those blowing off. And with a serial number located underneath the seat cushion in a chair in the living room, as pictured below. Underneath a seat cushion, okay, so you can see it. So this is like a leather couch. And so he's just got it under there in case he's watching football and needs to pop off some caps. So here, another loaded Remington, Model 783, 270 Win caliber with a serial number located in the master bedroom closet here below. Nice, man. Some good stuff. Here's another one that he had. What's going on? This one. A 20 gauge shotgun. Dude's armed up with the serial number located behind the master bedroom headboard, in case he's bringing that teacher over, you know, and things get a little bit too rowdy. He's got to defend his maiden. Also located in his residence were multiple firearm magazines, Glock 9mm mags, assorted ammo of various calibers, including an FC 9mm ammo, a book titled Concealed Carry and Home Defense Fundamentals. Yeah, and packaging for a Streamlight pistol flashlight. And the pistol was the one attached to the Glock in the back of the car. Now, both the Glock and the SIG, they had similar red dot optics. 2 firearm declaration tags were also found in his residence. Wow, he was traveling with them. So he would bring them from Southwest Airlines. The first declaration documents a firearm belonging to Ian Roberts in Erie, Pennsylvania, with the travel date of April 14, 2022. It was affixed to the outside of the firearms case when they stamped it on there as he's traveling with it. The second declaration, Ian Roberts, January 28, 2024. So he's also transporting these weapons as an illegal across state lines. In a Ford Mustang, he also had, man, he had another Ford Mustang. Let's see what year it was. Wow, he had custom plates. Track 8. According to law enforcement, this vehicle was registered to Lakeisha with an address in Dallas, Texas. So he's got her car and driving the other car from the Iowa schools. In the Ford Mustang, law enforcement also located, his immigration documents. The immigration documents were located under the floor mat in the back seat behind the driver's seat. The documents contain a copy of the order. He knew it, man. He had the copy of the removal order in his car under the floor mat behind the driver's seat. Why would you put your legal documents there? That's weird. It says, now the documents showed that he had been ordered removed and that they held a hearing in absentia. Didn't want to show up. He was too busy going to Men's Warehouse. Also located within the residence were copies of his expired passports from Guyana and his expired employment authorization card. The residence appeared to be occupied by a single individual, Roberts, and no female clothing was located during the search. The 4 firearms described in the affidavit were examined. It revealed these firearms were manufactured outside the state of Iowa and thus necessarily crossed the state line before Roberts possessed them. And so based on all of my training and experience, there is plenty of probable cause to show that this dude possessed firearms as an illegal alien. Signed off on by Robert Carson, big shout outs, special agent from the ATF, in a very, very good affidavit. They went, talked to his lawyer. They got all the guns. It wasn't just the one gun. They got the Southwest stamps on the, when they're transporting it on the airplanes across state lines. And this guy was a scammer of epic proportions. But there's more. Laura Powell also explains, in August 2023, the same month that Ian Roberts assumed the role of superintendent, gets a new job over there, Polk County Sheriff's Office served him with a protective order issued by Jackson County, Missouri. The sheriff's office refused to share additional details because those records have been sealed. Oh, interesting. You know who else had a couple of protective orders against them? Kilmar, wife beater Abrego, human trafficker Garcia. A source told Laura that the protective order stemmed from an incident where Joseph Hill confronted Roberts about indicting Hill's wife. The source alleges that Roberts pointed a gun at Hill during the conflict. Hill was arrested, though there's no record of charges filed. Roberts pointed a gun at Hill. So they arrested Hill? Wonder if Hill was white. I don't know. But I obtained an incident report about a domestic dispute between Hill and his wife, but it lacks the details that would say anything about Roberts' involvement. While I did verify the existence of a protective order against Roberts, I want to emphasize I cannot corroborate the source's account of his involvement in the incident. If I worked for a big newspaper, we'd have someone going through court records to dig up more info. If you're in Kansas City, shout out, and can access these records, please do so. Go grab them. If you're in Kansas City, shout out, go help out America. The matter is especially significant because Hill's now ex-wife, who filed for divorce shortly after the incident, is called Nicole Price. Price runs Lively Paradox, where Roberts has claimed employment since January 2020. Scandalous. She was also a character reference, but you can see here domestic violence, and it sounds like the documents are between the spouse, but like what caused the domestic violence, the contention between the spouse, maybe it was Roberts' involvement. So she's going to continue to report on this. She's speaking to firsthand sources, and apparently he refused to identify himself to the police, which makes sense. But this guy is now in federal custody. He's got a formal order of removal, couldn't even show up to his court hearings, but was getting paid $300,000, give or take, lecturing everybody about DEI and inclusivity, getting protective orders, lobbed or launched, allegedly with his involvement in indicting the wife. Is that radical empathy to sleep with another man's wife? Is that what that is? I don't think so. Dr. Ian Roberts, who allegedly made up fraudulent claims about having gone to MIT, Harvard, and Georgetown, was just put into a position because of his skin color and his alleged background as he committed fraud against an entire state. state, in that process, took money, time, and resources away from the kids who are Americans and American citizens. And Iowa, hopefully, is outraged by this. And we hope that more of these fraudsters are continued to be investigated. And if all the due process afforded to them fines accordingly, they're removed quickly. So Pam Bondi, the DOJ, ATF, still digging after this, going after some very interesting scams. And this is one of the more complex ones, but now he has been caught and hopefully removed with haste.